December 22nd, 2025, regular meeting of the Goffstown Select Board. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
True story. It's good to have friends.
Yeah. First up is the acceptance and correction of minutes from 12/8/25, public and non-public.
I'll make a motion, we accept the 12/8/25 public and non-public minutes with corrections if need be.
Second. That was Jim.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries.
Tell from my accent.
We have any announcements? Does anybody have any announcements? Because I don't have any. Seeing none, is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing that, we'll close public comment, and then we'll have up the DPW director. And that's a discussion about potential warrant articles and discontinuance of roads.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I provided a soft packet for the board chambers, just so you have a chance to review it for an actual agenda item at the next meeting. But as the packet indicates, we've got 9 street segments in town that are maintained by DPW. So that includes plowing in the wintertime, treating, if it's paved, asphalt repairs, pothole repairs, and if it's gravel, then grading, and any other, tree down maintenance that goes along with every other public road. Some of these were officially voted on by the town in 1985. There was a special article that asked the town if they would like to, I believe the phrase was, continue plowing as we have been the following roads, and it listed a bunch of roads. And by voting that yes, we should continue plowing these, that is a way of backing yourself into public acceptance of the road as a public street. So there's a few in that category. There's a few that we're not sure how they began, but decades ago, the town started maintaining some of these as public ways, and if you do that for too long, now you've got an implied acceptance. So between those two categories, that's kind of how we've landed on some of these being on the town's maintenance rolls. If you were to take a drive-by or go look at them, you probably would miss them because for a large part they look like a driveway. And as you might see in the spreadsheet, a majority of them only serve one actual residence. There may be a couple of abutters off of each of these roads, but save for 2, there's only one active residence on the other 7. So the idea would be do a little bit more due diligence if the board has an appetite to have an article this year. I know in some years there is a desire to not kick any bees' nests before town meeting. You could certainly anticipate those 11 property owners at the very least to be interested parties. But if the board wants to continue with this, I could get you more information, and thought tonight would be a good way to just kind of bring up the issue, give you the information in case you want to use the next couple weeks over the holidays. If you've got nothing better to do, go take a look at some of these. But also if you had any information that you'd like to see as part of a formal presentation, we just can only ring this bell once. So if there's any that you'd rather we didn't bring up in public for discontinuance, let's kind of get those out over the next couple weeks before our next meeting agenda.
You have questions, but you want to take those up in non-public? Is that what you want to do?
I don't believe we need to go in non-public. There are, there are some real estate concerns when it comes to discontinuing a road. There are some loss of frontage means a loss of property rights in some cases, where a parcel may be landlocked if a road is fully discontinued. If it's discontinued subject to gates and bars, it's another phrase you might hear. That's a downgrading from what's called a Class 5, which is what we publicly maintain, to a Class 6 road, which is an unmaintained but still public way. There are more property rights for future development and building permits on a Class 6 than there are for a road that's been fully discontinued, in which case the resident would just have an easement across somebody else's land to get to their property if they are one of those landlocked parcels. So there certainly are some things to talk about when it comes to some of these that, that may warrant non-public. I don't know if Derek wants to weigh in on that piece or not, but certainly in general, if there were any types of questions you'd like to see. I left some notes about the stuff that we'll be trying to suss out here over the next couple of weeks. If there's any pending conservation action or desired conservation commission action on acquiring any property or easements on some of these. Anything as we continue the deed research, if there's anything in these deeds that to the naked eye we wouldn't normally know, we'll try to get all that out as well.
Derek, is there a reason that we would or would not go into non-public?
I would advise you, unfortunately, you're not able to go into non-public. It's for the consideration, acquisition, sale, or lease of property, not a potential impact on property. So this would not fall under that.
Doesn't fall
category.
under the category for non-public. So, can I just ask one quick question? When we talk about Addison, Kennedy Hill, now that comes down off of Addison, it comes down, and then there's the road, you can go straight down to Mass, but there's a gate there, right?
Yes, so
If you're coming up from Mass, you come to a spot that says do not enter. Do we plow down to that spot?
we do not. So Kennedy Hill is a Class 6 road, so it's publicly owned but not publicly maintained. There is a termination on Mass Road, as you mentioned, sort of near the Irving Station, behind the landscaper, and then on the top of Kennedy Hill, before we get to the public section at Long Brook and Kennedy Hill where the farm is. Those two streets intersect right at the end.
That's
of
not
the
on the list here,
Class
though,
6.
right?
That is not.
No, but it's from Addison, Roberts Farm from Addison, and that's Kennedy Hill Road.
So that's a different, that's in a different, that's further down.
Further up.
All right, so I'm,
Yeah, they're not connected. I just want to make sure.
Okay. Yep.
Adam, if we were to do this, so right now you're currently maintaining these roads, correct?
Yep.
Whose responsibility would it be to maintain these at that point in time?
Depending on how it's done, so a full discontinuance, it's a very strange thing. It doesn't turn it into a private road. It puts it in a legal area of it's an access that any property owner served by that access shares the maintenance of that. So very similar to a private road, but it's slightly different. If there is a downgrade from a Class 5 to a Class 6 and it remains a public way, it would still be incumbent upon whoever needs to access their property on that Class 6, just like all the other Class 6 roads in town, to maintain as far or as little as they would need to get to their property.
what's the advantage discontinuing versus turning it to Class 6?
Generally, on a downgrade to a Class 6, so subject to gates and bars versus a full discontinuance, that would be in a case where there may be multiple properties that are served by that, which otherwise would be landlocked. So you're preserving some formal access and not just an easement for those people that would be landlocked. There's also a future if they're forever's a long time. So in the case of one of these, another section of that road, which directly abuts the section that I've got listed, is a Class 6 road. So to downgrade it to a Class 6, now this whole stretch would be a Class 6, but the town would reserve some rights. So fast forward 500 years, who the heck knows, but it's a long enough stretch and it connects to another part of town, so there may be some value in having a public way versus some future incarnation of the select board having to go in and either lay out a road or take property if there's a crunch. So in some of these it would make sense, but a lot of them are glorified driveways, so it would make less sense in those
And
cases.
do any of them connect to, I'm thinking about the situation we went through down at Moose Club where you used to be able to go through and then you couldn't go through. Do we have any of those situations?
Right now, I think there's, when you say what any of those situations, if we discontinued, there'd no longer be a way to get through, sort of thing. Yes, there'd be two, I think, off the top of my head. One connects, it's very, very short, but it connects two very close public ways. Tough without actually talking about names, but there are two property owners on that one, so it's on that list. But it's very short, and I don't see a huge benefit just because of geometry and the layout of it to keeping that as a public, as a Class 6. The other, as I mentioned earlier, is one that connects to a road that's already a Class 6 on one section, which directly abuts this proposed section. So it would make sense to reduce that to a Class 6 as well, so the whole stretch is still public. And then it does, yes, maintain continuity on the far side of the Class 6 to another public way.
Jim?
So what's the process now, and what are you looking for from us now?
So the process is laid out. I have the RSA book in front of me, but there's I think it's 32.3, if that's maybe right.
Title searches and all that?
So process is pretty basic. So there's a 14-day notice requirement to any abutter, and this is direct abutter. And then has to be, that would be 14 days prior to town meeting date. But we'd want to get any of the, because it's an article, we'd want to get it in with the rest of any articles, so we can start having it on the voters' guides and all that. As far as what my proposed process would be, yes, we'd go through the deed research, I'd speak to the Conservation Commission. If the board wanted to do an earlier invite to some of the abutters, either to come in or to submit any feedback they might have prior to making the town meeting, we do have some time for that too. But really, it's a pretty basic process, because once you get an article, a town could vote to discontinue or lay out any road in town just by a majority vote.
What's the benefit, or what's the outcome that you're looking for here, Adam?
Benefit for us certainly is maintenance burden. A lot of these are gravel, which presents an extra burden after in particular a storm, where we treat everything with salt. We have to now go back with a sander truck and hit these little roads, and they're kind of sparsely populated areas, separated out in town. So that's certainly one. The other is, I think for the town's perspective, some of these quite literally are driveways, so the neighbors, are looking at us maintaining their neighbor's driveway and wondering why there's no public benefit at all in a couple of these cases. So, so I think it's trying to be, more fair and try to make sure that we're not taking on any maintenance burden that we shouldn't be.
So these are all used to calculate your RSL that you use across the town, the 260 miles, is that correct?
The paved versions are, so we don't use gravel for that, but any of the paved segments would contribute to that, yes, the service-like calculation.
Who paid for the sections that were paved? Did the town pay for it, or was it privately paid for?
A little bit of both, I think. So there's a couple that have been paved in the last 10 years, and then a couple that probably were done by an owner. They may have been done by the owner prior to the 1985 vote by the town to keep plowing, but it's unclear. I don't have any records on some of them, probably because they were treated as driveways for a while.
All right, so let's, as Adam suggested, that we take a look, if we want to go up and take a ride around, look at these, and we'll take it up at our next meeting. Is that okay?
That's great.
That'd be the plan.
Do we think that we should get feedback back from the abutters before we get?
Well, we're gonna determine what, I think, not before, I think what we're asking for in our next meeting would be to go ahead and start the procedure, and then those people would be notified.
So we'd have public
Yeah.
at the next meeting?
Not the next meeting, the meeting after that. Next meeting, we would decide if we're gonna go ahead. And then we have 14 days, if I understood.
You work back from the town meeting. You have to give them notice at least 14 days
Okay,
before the vote.
town meeting, which is March.
Yep.
So we'll have time.
So when are you gonna do the title searches and all that? That might take a while.
So the idea is to look at, there's not a terribly large amount of parcels affected, so I would have that for the next meeting, if there's any ands, ifs, or buts that are involved there.
Okay.
If there's anything that, if you do take a look, if there's anything you see in that, I'd like to have that, obviously. If there's any showstoppers and absolutely nots that anybody here is aware of that I'm not, maybe reach out to Derek or me directly before that meeting, so we can take that road either off the list or put it in a separate category. But the idea would be at that next meeting, we'd actually come out with a list of streets that are being proposed, talk about any issues with each one, and then start the process of deciding if you wanted to have a public in to an actual board meeting prior to the official notice deadline.
One last question I have, because I'm like looking through some of these. Did any of these give access to any sort of like waterways or anything like that that, you know, fishermen or hunters may use today?
There are certainly some, let's see, there's certainly some properties that I think are hunted. I don't know if they're posted and, you know, people reach out directly with them on at least 2 of them. But I'm not sure beyond that. There's no,
No boat launches off
I don't
of
think
any
there's
of
any,
them or anything
no,
like
no
that?
official water access, but certainly hunting property. There's a couple of them that are pretty large, you know, parcels, but I'm not positive how those landowners deal with hunters.
All right, let's move on, potential warrant articles, is that what this?
That's what
Okay.
this discussion was, yes.
Right.
Just before I go, any
I
questions
have a
you'd like
public
me to-
hearing schedule, that's why I wanna move on, right?
Okay.
6:15.
Yeah, are there any other questions at this point for Adam, or just bring it back on the
Bring it back on
January
the
meeting?
next January meeting.
Okay.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Pursuant to RSA 31:95-B, the Goffstown Select Board is conducting this public hearing to receive public input into the acceptance and expend in unanticipated funds totaling $19,272 from the New Hampshire Land and Community Heritage Investment Program, LCHIP, Historic Rehabilitation Grant. The grant funds will be used to support the Goffstown Public Library window restoration project. The total cost of this project will be $38,544, in which the town will be responsible for a 50% match of $19,272. Upon completion of the project, the town will need to enter into a grant agreement with LCHIP for a period of 5 years from date projected, stewardship term. The grant agreement is a legal document. Somebody want to talk to this? Richard or somebody? You know?
Yeah, I suppose I can. Yeah, over the past few months, better part of the year, I guess, the library board has been pursuing a grant from the LCHIP Foundation, and they were successful in getting their 50% match. I know that they had another smaller request in there for storm windows to go over the historical windows that did not get approved, but ultimately this is it represents the culmination of a desire by the select board to, or the budget committee rather, to see the library pursue cost-reducing measures, and they did that, and here we are now.
And the 50% match is already budgeted, or?
It's actually on your encumbrance list. It was, they had $20,000 in their budget this year to maintain the windows, so they have gone out and selected the contractor, and they, knowing that they have this, because a contractor that can actually restore those type of windows, there's not many of them, so they're kind of backlogged on the amount of work that they have. So it is on your encumbrance list, so it's not a future budget, it's out of the 2025 budget.
And it'll cover the $38,544 with the grant.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else questions?
And then, oh, I'm sorry, the only other thing is there is a stewardship agreement. So we had this, we have experience with this with Grassmere Town Hall. We had a significant LCHIP grant there. It requires annual reporting that the library will have to do to report on how the preserved windows are holding up, if they're seeing any issues. It also places limitations on the town and the library during that time, during that 5 years, that you do have to maintain the building and the windows, so for that 5 years.
And who's responsible for doing that report?
That would be the library, but I also have experience doing that, so I can work alongside the new library director if they have any questions.
Jim, do you have any
Yeah,
other?
that was my question, what's in the agreement?
Anything else? Motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Can I just?
Go ahead, Jim.
Do you want to open the public hearing in case?
Oh, I'm
there's
sorry,
anyone-
that's right, this is public hearing. Is there anybody here from the public who'd like to speak to this? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Now, Jim.
I'll make a motion to accept and expend an unanticipated grant in the amount of $19,272 from the New Hampshire Land and Community Heritage Investment Program, LCHIP, for the restoration and preservation of the windows at the Goffstown Public Library in accordance with New Hampshire RSA 31:95-B, and to name Select Board Chairman as a certifying official and the Chair of the Goffstown Public Library Board of Trustees as the authorized signer for the grant agreement and any related documents, and upon completion of the project to enter into a 5-year stewardship agreement upon the completion of the project as dictated by LCHIP.
Second.
Motion by Jim, seconded by Joshua. Anything, questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries. Next up is Deputy Chief. And we're on tab 6.
Good evening. So before you, you have the request for the town of Goffstown to enter into contracts with private insurance companies for the statewide for the statewide agreement for billing. We do not currently have any contracts with private EMS, private insurance, so this would be something new for us, but we're finally at the rates that we have billed currently in the town of Goffstown. So, I don't know if you have any questions.
This is a 2-year agreement, right?
That would be accurate, yep.
So, go ahead, Jim. So, right now, you bill Medicare amount only?
No, currently we're billing the rates that you have on your sheet, down on the bottom,
Okay.
Jim. Should be in that table there, so you can see what we currently bill and then what we're allowed to bill. This will allow us to continue to bill at our current rate or up to that amount that you see before you on the right-hand side.
And just to provide a little bit more information, there was a change at the state legislature. There was Senate Bill 245. So during this 2-year period, they're going to have a study committee that looks at insurance billing rates. But they said, if you don't want to sign a contract or negotiate a contract with the individual providers, you can only charge at the Medicare rate. But by signing this agreement, we can do it at 3.25% of the Medicare rate.
And is there a cost to that, an increased premium, or there's nothing to the recipient of the, right?
Yeah, so ultimately, it is a charge for medical services, and the insurance providers may adjust their insurance premiums based on what they negotiate, or if many communities take this 3.25. Right now, we're currently below the 3.25, but one of the recommendations is to hold a public hearing and actually, rather than set a rate, that we do it as a multiplier of the Medicare rate, at least for the next 2 years, while we see what the legislature is going to do.
And this is for all ground ambulance services in the state, which also includes private. Most municipalities are at our level, right around there. We're competitive with our other municipalities. However, private is usually about 4 to 5 times what we're charging.
So if I understand what you just said, we could decide, okay, we want to bill up to 80%, 90%, or we could do the whole thing.
Correct. Right now,
What are we at?
right now, roughly, you're at about 2/3, roughly, of the maximum rate that you could charge. So the board could move forward with a rate change. We also look at all our fees for service, usually after the first of the year. We have all departments look at that, so we could look at that, or you could maintain what we currently have for our ambulance billing rates.
What would be a reason we wouldn't change? Just out of curiosity, I mean,
Like Jim was talking about, possible increased rates to residents, but that's going to happen at a statewide level whether we do it or not.
whether we're on it or not, I mean, if
Correct.
the state level goes up to this, that,
Every single town around us does it, every single private around us does it.
Is it quantified? Are we losing money now at the Medicare rate, at the rate that we charge?
Jim, are you talking about losing money as far as like how much?
How much we bill now, does it cover our costs?
And how much does it cost us to do this?
Okay, so, it's a
Two
question.
different, one at a time. one at a
I
time.
know, I think it's together, is what you're saying.
So two different questions, two different answers. So as far as how much a transport costs, we just completed a federally required study to figure out how much a single transport costs, which is a very large amount because we're talking about electrical rates, we're talking about medical equipment, we're talking about ambulances, we're talking about personnel, wages, benefits. It's significant. So are we covering our costs like private EMS would? The answer is no. What we do, how we explain it to residents that bring forward their bills and ask us how we got to this rate, is how we explain it is the taxes pay for our preparedness. That's our personnel in the station. And then when they use the ambulance, they have to pay for a little extra for their usage. So the people who use it more are paying more. The people who want it there and available are paying it through the taxes. So the actual bill that they receive, no, it's not covering all of our costs. The people on Medicare and Medicaid, we cannot legally balance bill those people. Those are, as you can see in front of you, are well under even what we're billing currently. So does the other piece make up for it for private EMS? That's usually what they wind up doing, is they wind up charging a lot more. And obviously, as we know, not everybody has insurance.
So if somebody's on Medicare, they're gonna pay the Medicare price?
That would be accurate. Yep.
And then Jim lives next door and he's not on Medicare, he's gonna pay the other price.
His insurance company would, yes.
Okay. Josh?
And let me clarify the question, so it's more, I get that the fixed cost is always gonna be there. Disregard that.
Okay.
The variable cost, what it costs you to take somebody in that ambulance, are we losing money on the variable cost for what we're charging them here? The prepared cost that you talked about, the fixed cost,
If
is
we
something
were
the
not
taxpayers already paid for.
so it's the most difficult part of this, Josh, is because we're a combination department, is we have the exact same person there for fire suppression, rescue, and EMS. So that becomes very difficult to determine, well, how much of their salary, wages, benefits, training, equipment, all that type of stuff goes to just EMS. So I'd love to answer you 100%. That's what makes it really difficult, and there are some metrics that guide us towards that. But as far as are we recuperating our costs on every single ambulance bill, the answer is absolutely not. We rely on our taxes for that.
Yeah, I get the tax part, but like medical supplies that you guys
Yep.
are having to buy,
Yep.
right? Fuel in the vehicle to bounce around everywhere,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like if you're having to do repairs on the vehicle because those weren't necessarily covered for, when you look at those, because those aren't necessarily fixed costs, those are variable costs, right?
Correct.
How does that compare to what we're charging?
I would have to look at our ambulance study to tell you exactly what percentage. I want to say we're probably at about 40% of what the actual cost is.
All right.
But isn't that really going for what you're collecting? Because you're collecting on Medicare.
Yeah, you're
it's
not collecting a lot
less
there.
Than you would be on a regular ride, you know?
I think what I'm trying to get at is make sure that we're not just jacking the cost up and we're making more money than we're actually, like,
The 3.25%, maybe this will answer your question. The 3.25 will still not be 100% of a single ambulance cost.
I think that's what voters and everybody in this town are want to understand.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, it's a great point. Yep.
Okay.
And that's why typically private EMS, because they don't have infrastructure, municipal, that type of stuff, to back off of, that's why they're usually up around at 6 to 7 times the Medicare rate.
Anything else? So what are you looking for now, Derek?
So we have two requests. The first one would be to approve the standard ground ambulance provider contract and authorize the fire chief to sign those. Again, it's with the private insurance companies on page 1 of the packet. That would be one motion. And then a second motion, if the board would like us to raise the rates, would be to schedule a public hearing to change the fees of ambulance billing rates so that we can get the 3.25 times the Medicare rate.
Okay, so the first one is to authorize the chief to sign the agreement with the contractors.
Sign the contracts with the companies, yes.
I'll make that motion that we approve the New Hampshire Standing Ground ambulance provider contract with the above private insurance companies and authorize the fire chief to sign the contract through the New Hampshire Insurance Department.
Second that.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
And the second one is to schedule a public hearing under New Hampshire RSA 41:9-A to consider adjusting the Goffstown EMS billing rates to 3.25 times the Medicare rate optional.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Josh. And that is, just requires one public hearing?
That requires one public hearing, and you can make the vote that night, so we
Okay.
will advertise that as such.
Okay.
Yeah, so the discussion on that is just that when we do that, I think it should be clear to lay out that, some sort of visual representation, so that way if anybody is either here from the public or watching at home, they understand exactly what we are doing and why we're doing it.
Yes, I'll have that breakdown and
All right,
I'll
let's-
send
We
it.
got a motion on the floor. Motion was by Mark, seconded by Josh. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
Thanks, Ben.
Tab 7, Town Administrator's Report.
Yes, I did not provide a committee meeting schedule because it's pretty light the next 2 weeks. I do want to remind, we are going to have early closings at departments on Wednesday, and so at Town Hall and DPW Transfer Station will close at 1 PM. The library closes at 2 PM. Everyone will be closed on Thursday for Christmas, and then offices closed, open back up for regular hours on Friday.
Same thing with DPW.
Same thing with DPW, the trash collection for Thursday will occur on Friday, and Friday will occur on Saturday, so those two will be 1 day late. You did have an updated consent agenda on the table when you entered.
Yep.
We added one item. You have employee status reports, you have admin, full-time executive secretary retirement. You have full-time police, this is an assignment to detective sergeant. You have a full-time patrol officer, assignment to detective. You have a full-time patrol officer, reassignment back to patrol. You have a full-time patrol officer, successful completion of probationary period and master's degree incentive. You have a police dispatcher resignation. You have a fire, per diem firefighter EMT promoted to firefighter AEMT. There's a per diem firefighter AEMT resignation. And then in Parks and Rec, there's a seasonal grounds separation for end of season. For the fire chief, we have oath of office, appointment as the emergency management director, and also the forest fire warden appointment form, that was added today. You have an appointment of a police officer oath. You have the New Hampshire 911 data operation liaison form. You have an off-cycle LVDP, Lynchville Danis Park Water Betterment. This is map 24, lot 44R-4, in the amount of $1,635.20. And then you have 5 rights to inter. So West Lawn Expansion Cemetery, Columbarium B, row A, niche 2, niche 3, niche 4, and then you have Shirley Hill Cemetery, section 2, lots 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D, and Shirley Hill Cemetery, the old section, range 2, lot 38C.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Seconded.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Richard. One question. The swearing in of the chief is?
Yeah.
I don't believe we're gonna, we can talk to the chief if he wants to do a private or public ceremony or not, but we can, I'll talk to the chief and see
All
what
right.
his
I
pleasure is.
have a second question. I assume we're backfilling the executive secretary position?
Yes, we're looking, we're just double checking that job description right now, but we'll probably be putting that out for advertisement tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Mark, seconded by Richard. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining, motion carries.
Your next page, you have a volunteer appointment, recommendation from the Parks and Rec Commission to appoint Carl Schalbeck as an alternate member with a term ending March 31st, 2028.
Make a motion to reappoint Carl Chalbeck as a alternate member of the Goffstown Parks and Recreation Commission with term ending March 31st of 2028.
Second. And just to clarify, that's a typo. It should be to appoint.
Yeah.
To appoint.
Yep, thank you, sorry
He's
about
not there
that.
'cause he's
I
not
will
there
correct
now.
my motion.
Okay, motion by Josh, second by Richard. Any further questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
At your next page, you have a memo from the finance director. This is a budget transfer request. At your meeting on December 8th, you approved the purchase of Fire Department Car 2, the replacement Tahoe, and the necessary radios and outfitting for that for up to $85,500. The request is to transfer that from fire operations regular wages full-time.
Make a motion to approve the budget transfers requested from the reallocation of $85,500 from fire ops wages line to CIP vehicles line as presented.
Second?
That was you, Jim?
Yes, it was.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any discussion, questions? This is one we covered last meeting.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
Just to take one item out of order, only because the encumbrance list could have some questions. You have a road tracking form that was provided to you on the table this evening. This is for the acceptance of the trail easement. This is for the Park Place condominium development that is 2 lots just east of the Shell station at 134 Mass Road. This is part of the approved plan. As you may recall, a few months ago, you approved the driveway easement, and this is the rail trail, which is kind of repositioned onto their property. So this is that trail easement. So the request is that you accept this trail easement and sign off on it so that we can have it recorded. This is one of the final pieces for that development.
I'll make a motion, we approve the tracking form for the property, the 2 lots, the 48 Norman Road,
No, it's 134 Mass Road,
134 Mass Road,
map 5, lot 54 and 54-1.
map 5, lot 54 and 54-1.
Second? That was
Motion
Jim.
by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
Okay, back to the packet. At tab 7D, you have a list of, you have the updated encumbrance list for 2025. We provided you a draft list last week. The year-end encumbrance amount in some cases may have been reduced a small amount if there were any invoices that were posted against it since your last meeting. We've also added in the library facility, the library window rehabilitation. There's $20,000 in the operating budget, as well as the grant amount that was approved this evening under the grant section. So we're requesting the board approve this so the funds do not lapse at the end of the year.
Josh, do you have something?
I'm just wondering if the number is right on the voting works.
On the what?
The voting works one. It's 5 units at 6, which was 30,000. I think that we got half of that back. Or 20, it says 2,500 offset. Is that number right?
I believe it should be, let's see, so that'd be 35 times 5. We went off the quote, let me pull up the quote, and that one is not a reimbursement from the Secretary of State's office. They're actually, the Secretary of State's office will be paying
They pay them directly.
directly.
Right, but I thought it was only for a small portion.
Nope, so yeah, I've got the quote here.
Yeah.
It is 14,000. The total hardware fees were $31,500. The Secretary of State will pay $3,500 for each machine. which is $17,500, which leaves $14,000 total due. It's split on 2 lines there, because you've got the ballot counting devices, the laser printers, and then you have the actual scanner and
Okay.
ballot boxes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Not gonna anything change here in the next week?
No, we've told department heads this is the last meeting, so they
Okay.
have to have it in, so
So this is it.
this is it.
Okay.
Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the encumbrances as presented.
Second.
Any discussions? We haven't on here. Motion by Josh, seconded by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Anybody here, new business?
Discuss what happened in the budget committee.
Ken?
I don't know, Richard, if you wanna like talk about what transpired, things that we need to consider for the budget, or?
No, we're in a tight spot, like we usually are, after the budget committee gets to go through the budget. Don't remember the exact figure, but it's probably something, like 300, or I couldn't even begin to say. But we're down from, 12% to 5.5%?
Yeah, so the increase is down to 5%.
5%.
Yeah.
For big projects that the budget committee cut out, they've cut out all the non-union matrix adjustment. They did maintain the full year steps within the budget, but they took out, you had reduced it from 3.3% down to 1.5. They took it back down to 0. So there'd be no matrix adjustment in 2026. In terms of big projects, they had taken originally $200,000 off the road plan. So Adam had requested 1.8. It was at 1.6, and that's where it is currently today. They did take out the $200,000 for the culvert, the critical culvert replacement project. They also removed the Tahoe for the fire department, obviously, and the boat.
And the assumption is that we're gonna put a warrant article forward for the,
The Packer,
The
the
Packer.
Packer truck from unassigned fund balance, which this board had already voted on. So right now, really, the only big change in the CIP was the $200,000 for the critical culvert.
And the
Am I
road,
missing any?
and the road plan.
And the original, yes, the original road plan.
Last year, the road plan was $1.2 million.
It was
1.2.
$1,150,000.
Okay, so it's 1.6 this year.
It's 1.6, which brings it back to the prior years, the 2024 amount.
and the culverts got cut, but we didn't have culverts in last year, correct? Or,
It was funded through a grant, so it wasn't part of the operating budget, and it was offset by a grant. But this will be in future budgets. Adam's got it all the way in his CIP matrix the next 6 years, just because of the status of where the culverts are at.
so we need to make a motion to get the trash truck in, right?
No, you've already taken that vote to
We
do
did that.
that, and we will present that to the budget committee on their meeting on January 6th. But if the budget, or, I'm sorry, if the select board wants to make any other,
Did we actually make that vote? Because I thought we presented it as an option.
I think we did it as an option, if my memory serves me right.
if
Yeah.
you'd like to take a vote to put
I
that
think
as a
we'd have to
special
do that.
article from unassigned fund
I don't
balance.
remember.
I'm pretty sure we did not.
So can we make the vote now to
Yes, you
put
can.
the money back in for the trash truck?
No, that's.
It's not the money back in, it's to put it on as a special warrant article.
Make a special article?
Unreserved fund balance. The price was?
$430,000.
I'll make a,
Go ahead, Josh.
I'll make a motion to put the compactor truck back in as a special warrant article to be voted on by the town in the sum of $430,000.
Second.
Motion by Josh, seconded by Mark. Any further discussion?
And just for, that's from unassigned fund
Oh,
balance.
yes, from the unassigned fund.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
That's new business, is there anything else? Let's go to old business. On the old business, we have the library board. Board of Trustees request for the GPL Capital Reserve Fund, and again, that is from unassigned fund balance or request, is it?
That could be either, that could be, you could fund it from unassigned fund balance, you could do it as, from new property taxes, or you could vote to not place that on the warrant.
What was that one for?
That was the $50,000 for the library, capital reserve fund for, building, restoration, building.
How much do we have left in the unassigned fund now between what we just took out?
So
Assuming
the
they get voted in.
the two articles right now, you have $780,000. I think, a rough estimate that Danielle and I would both feel comfortable is $1 million at the top end, but I think you would have, if you want to do another $50,000 from unassigned fund balance to establish that capital reserve fund and do initial deposit, you could.
I'll make a motion to move 50,000 from the unassigned fund balance as a special warrant article to be put forward to the town for a library fund.
Second.
Whoa,
Come on
how
now,
do you feel about that, Joe?
strongly.
Motion by Josh, seconded by Jim. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? The motion passes.
Okay.
Were there any others, Derek? Because I watched it, and I'm just trying to remember, like, Richard, you got any others that we need to chat about?
Yeah, no, Derek gave a good summary of what actually got removed from the budget. I just think the tightest one will probably be DPW like it usually is. It just always takes the biggest hit.
Well, it's unfortunate because eventually, all you're doing is degrading your roads and your equipment. Right?
Yeah, every time we skip something that's part of our regular cycle, we're just kicking the can down the road. Costs go up year over year. It's gonna have to be addressed eventually and and at a higher cost than it would have been out of this budget.
I assume they know that.
Yep, I tried my level best to get them to understand that.
Oh, hey,
They think we're gonna save money, but it actually cost us money.
you gotta look at what you're dealing with and just move on. Action matrix, how are we looking on that?
So I did not print one out, but I did get a report from departments today. Fire Tower 1 was picked up last week and it's back at Bulldog for pump diagnosis. So that is ongoing, and we do have an open claim with Primex for that still. DPW, the curbside and six-wheel dump truck that were previously out of service are back into service. The sidewalk tractor is still out of service, and then he's got a new one. He's got 2019 Ford F-350 pickup with plow that's at Londonderry Ford for suspension issues and dipstick tube replacement.
As far as the rut, the dipstick tube ruts out on it.
They either rot
All right,
off or
any
they
questions on that?
slide out of that.
Is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, that'll conclude tonight's, well, Mark, you gotta make the motion.
Yep,
for non-public.
I'll make a motion, we go into non-public.
RSA 91-A.
Okay, RSA 91-A 3-2 compensation and public employee and B hiring.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim.
Yes?
Yes.
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 That'll conclude tonight's public portion of the meeting.